Let's talk to Ian Machado Garry, who's coming off that big win over Neil Magny. There he is. Hello, Ian. How are you?
How are you, sir? It's great to be back.
Man, what a crazy weekend. Great to be back as well, and great to talk to you after Boston. I want to get to Boston in a moment, but did you watch Saturday night? And if so, what did you make of that result in the main event?
Yeah, I watched it, obviously. I feel like Izzy lost the fight more than Sean Strickland won the fight.
Wow, okay. This is different than our previous two guests. Please elaborate for us.
I feel like there was a certain point in that fight where I feel like Izzy was afraid to lose more than he wanted to win. And that essentially meant that his efficiency, his output, his shot selection wasn't as elite as it normally is. And it gave Sean Strickland the opportunity for his awkwardness to have success and his constant pressure to have success. And I feel like if you run that fight back, there's no way Sean Strickland gets his hand raised again. That's my opinion. But at the end of the day, Sean Strickland got his hand raised, and I can never shoot a man for reaching his dream.
Wow. So that is fascinating insight. So you think your takeaway is that was more about what Izzy didn't do than what Sean did?
The truth is, Ariel, when you watch the fight back, what did Sean do that was elite?
But wasn't it just like he stuck to the basics and he was just really good at what he did?
He done this for most of the fight.
Yeah.
Threw a jab and threw fuck all kicks. So there was no wrestling involved. There was no kicks involved. There was a couple of punches every now and then and just constant pressure. I feel like if Izzy had the output that he usually does, or the efficiency that he usually does, and I can't knock Sean for having a part of that awkwardness and that lack of efficiency from Izzy. Obviously, his awkwardness played into the fight, but I just feel like Izzy wasn't picking the shots he normally would, and he wasn't operating on full cylinders. And I think if they run that back, Izzy dominates. And I feel like I know from watching that fight, there's no way on earth that I wouldn't have gone in there and picked him apart. And I know Izzy's brain, I see the way it works. It's output, it's efficiency, and it's shot selection. And I just feel like whatever it was, I think Izzy was afraid of losing more than he was a will and a want to win.
As an elite fighter, you watch that. You watch one of the greatest champions in recent UFC history, greatest strikers, just not show up. How do you react to that? Are you afraid that something like that can happen to you?
No, because I'm a very new generation of fighter. I've told you this, I'm a competitor more than I'm a fighter, Ariel. I am someone who, no matter who it's against, I will find a way to win, because that's what I love to do more than anything. I love to get my hand raised, and a challenge is exciting for me. So when I step into the octagon, for example, if I want to go in there and be the best in the world, I've got to do whatever it takes to win that fight. Whether it's out-grapple the best grappler in the world, or whether it's out-strike the best striker in the world, the will to want to win is the most important thing for me. I don't care how it gets done, if it's a sloppy decision, if it's a dominant victory, if it's a viral knockout. As long as I get my hand raised, that's all that matters to me, and that's all that will matter in the legacy.
So you got your hand raised once again, less than a month ago in Boston. That week felt like a turning point in your career. It felt like this was different now. This wasn't, D-Rod was a big win. The debut MSG but this felt different. Now you're in a different stratosphere. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And I've earned it. I've worked hard to get here. Look, you've been on the bandwagon for a long time. You understand how good I am, and you understand where I'm going. You understand the trajectory, Ariel. I've done everything I've said I'm going to do. I'm the second ever welterweight to go 6-0 in the UFC. Me and Usman. I've just come off a historic scorecard in the 30-24. The last time we seen that was Khabib versus Barboza. The levels, the names that you have to put me in brackets with now is stuff that we haven't seen. I am a new generation of the sport. This stuff that I'm doing outside, I am traveling the world, soaking up knowledge. I'm learning from the best I possibly can. I've hired my strength and conditioning coach, Brandon Gallagher, to be full-time with me, travel the world with me, work only with me and focus on me and my abilities to get me to be the best athlete I possibly can be. And shout out to him, by the way. He's going for his Coach of the Year at the MMA Awards, and I'm very excited for him, and I hope he does well. But I'm changing the game. I'm focusing on being the best athlete I possibly can be. And all of the work that I've been working towards is shown in every single fight. I get better and better and better. Who have you seen dominate Neil Magny the way I dominated him? 30-24.
No, I mean, it was incredible. It was unbelievable. It was very, very one-sided, short notice.
And it was done with ease. That's the thing. It was done with very little skill set. It was just a couple of shots. I've gone, right, this is a short notice fight. I'm going to use these shots and I'm going to dominate the fight. It was a very smart play. It was a very, very smart, intelligent fight. And I absolutely whooped him for the whole 15 minutes.
You know, I saw what you did on the Friday night, like the fan meet and greet, open workout, and it's great. And it's great to get the people behind you and emotionally invested in your journey. You're doing a lot of that with your social media as well. But I couldn't help but think in the back of my mind, and I know you're going to scoff at this. I was like, man, if it doesn't pan out the way he wants, like everyone will go back to this and say, look what he was doing on the Friday, right? Like, you know that, right? They're always, as big as you get, there are people that are waiting for you to fall. And so does that ever cross your mind? Like, hey, we shouldn't go too, no, it doesn't even, the thought doesn't even cross your mind.
If, and Ariel, this is something I'm going to repeat something I said today to someone else. If don't equate in my brain. What if it goes wrong? What if this happens? What if they don't calculate in here? What about whatever happened to the attitude of what happens when you go out there and knock them out and you do that? What if everything in the world works out just as it should and goes the way I plan?
There's nothing that makes you question yourself. You never have a moment where you have a little bit of self-doubt.
No. Not when you work as hard as I do. Not when you've got a team that surrounds you, that give you love and support and genuinely keep you grounded. Not when you've got a wife who, if you step foot out of line or say the wrong thing, will put you right back in your box because she's the best person for me to be around. Not when you've got teammates and friends in my little future family that if you're saying something or doing something that isn't what you said you wanted to do, then why are you doing it? I have a very clear goal in life, Ariel. I want to be one of the greatest fighters to ever live. I also want to be a good father, a good husband, and a good man. And if I'm not on that trajectory, if I stray off path, I've got a team that pull me back in and show me what I said I wanted to do. But there is never, ever any doubt, no doubt in my mind, because when I operate with faith, everything just happens. It falls into place. I've said this before, Ariel. I'll say it again. I am already blessed. I am gifted to be on this earth, and I am just here to receive. I have to show up, enjoy my life, have fun, because when I'm fighting with fun, there is no one in the world that can beat me.
What was the reception like? And if you can answer this and not include the Conor McGregor training session yet, but like you go home after the turning point, you're back home. I saw you doing some media outside the 3 Arena. What did it feel like to now come back as a 6-0 UFC fighter on this run, on pay-per-view? Like all that has now happened and now you come back home. What was that like?
It was very special to return home and feel the power of being back on home soil, to see friends, family, people, like to just see people that I've never met have given me so much respect in the streets. And I mean respect as in not coming up and asking for photos sometimes. Just literally noticing me going, like, I think, oh, that's him, Machado. Like, that's him. Just the reception, the warm welcome, the respect. It makes me so happy and so fulfilled to go forward and want to achieve more. To go back there and give my country more joy, more success. And I'm telling you now, Ariel, Dublin 2024, the UFC are going to return. When I go out and do the stuff that I say I'm going to do, I am going to bring so much joy back to Irish MMA and so much excitement back into the fan base. It's going to be so exciting.
When do you think that card happens?
I want to fight in December again this year. So December, why not do a Paddy's Day? Why not do it on March? Do you know what I mean? Do it in March. Do it on a Paddy's Day weekend. Go wild with it. 2024, first quarter of the year, though, I reckon it happens.
Okay.
And I'll be annoyed if it doesn't, because I want to keep this activity rolling. I don't want to stop. I fought 3 times in 5 months, and I don't have any plans on slowing down. So for me, ideally, December, let's go March again.
Okay, December is interesting. I had not heard that. Is that a done deal?
No, it's not a done deal, but I've made it very clear and obvious to the UFC and everyone involved what I want. I want December 16th. I want the UFC pay-per-view in Las Vegas, and I want to fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And I want it over 5 rounds because I think about the fans in that situation. Could you imagine 5 rounds of me versus Wonderboy to prove who the greatest striker in the welterweight division is? That's a barn burner.
So I've heard you talk about Wonderboy. That's been over the last few weeks. Have you or your management expressed this to the UFC? Are they open to it? Is he open to it?
I've mentioned it to the UFC. I said it to Sean, I said it to Hunter, and I said it to Dana the day before I beat Magny. I said it to the night. I said the night I beat Magny, I said I want Wonderboy and I want it by the end of this year. And they look, it's on them now to figure it out. I'm game. I'm getting ready. I'm preparing for December. Now it's going to take everything for me not to fight him because everything about that fight is so exciting, right? When you look at Wonderboy and you look at his last 2 opponents, he wants to fight strikers. He wants to fight people that he can go in there and have a camp that he enjoys. He doesn't want to be going in there against an Usman or Colby and getting wrestled and putting his backside. He doesn't find that enjoyable. And I understand that. He wants to go in there against a Kevin Holland and put on a show. He was willing to fight Michel Pereira, number 15 in the world, put on a show because he knows it's going to be striking. But both of those guys were unranked and 15 in the world. I'm 11 in the world, undefeated, and one of the biggest prospects the sport's ever seen. But there's so much hype for me and Wonderboy to go in there and put on a show. And the fans, over 5 rounds, Ariel, of just the most beautiful technical striking you've ever seen. I'll go in there and I'll finish Wonderboy in the 4th and 5th round. I'm not going to do it early. I'll do it late. But I will have so much fun. Like, waking up every morning being excited for that camp. Being excited for Wonderboy. I get to fight Wonderboy in Vegas on a pay-per-view. That's a dream for me. That's a fight that I'm excited for, and I believe it's going to happen.
And by the way, like whatever your desire may be, I mean, you just talked about it from like a technical standpoint. Is there any sort of personal issue between you and Wonderboy, or is it strictly that you want to match yourself up
No,
against
it's quite the opposite. It's quite the opposite, Ariel. He's friends with my wife. He's friends with my family. He's friends with my, like, he knows stuff. My wife and him work together on karate combat. I've met him. I've talked to him. I've trained him. He's really, really lovely. He's such a nice guy. It's out of no malice, no beef. It's only out of respect. He is arguably, when you mention the greatest strikers the sport has ever seen, he has to be in that argument. There's no question about that. And for me to want to be one of the greatest strikers, I have to beat guys of that status for me to have that. I need to beat a Wonderboy to be one of the best strikers the UFC has ever seen. I have to go out and do that. That's what excites me, is the challenge of going out there and proving to the world just how good I am, because I already know it. But I have to go out there and actually do it. And that's fun. That's exciting. That, to me, that will wake me up in the morning, Ariel.
What if he says, thanks, but no thanks? What if the UFC says, we can't make this happen? How will you feel?
What are you going to want to do? Go in there and fight Usman and get wrestled for 3 rounds and it'd be a boring fight? No. Listen, it's in Wonderboy's best interest to fight me, as well as it is my best interest to fight him. And that's God's honest truth. Because anyone else in the division, they're going to grapple him, take him down, put him on his arse. And it's going to be a terrible fight to watch. I, as a fan of the sport, have no interest in watching him on his backside against Usman. Do you?
No. This is a much more fan-friendly match.
And if in the reality of this, we're in an entertainment business area, you want to put bums in the seats, you want to get that pay-per-view, you put me and Wonderboy on the card. And that's it. That would be the best fight that I could have right now, and the most enjoyable fight I could have right now, and the ones that the fans would enjoy the most.
How many takedown attempts you think in that fight?
Absolutely fucking none. The only takedowns that are going to come is when I chop his fucking calf and I put him on his ass a couple of times, like I did with Magny. There's going to be no takedown attempts. None. That doesn't mean we won't see a submission attempt. Do you know what I mean? Might try something flying, might jump on something for the crack just to scare him a little bit, keep him in a box. But no takedown attempts, none whatsoever.
Have you?
You don't get the status of being the best striker in the division. Like going out there and taking him down.
Who's the opponent? Let's say in March, St. Paddy's weekend, Ireland. Who's the dream opponent?
Or Colby Covington.
Ah,
Colby Covington. I would love to thump them out off him, Ariel. Oh my God, at home. The only thing that annoys me about that is I'd have more fun doing that in Miami.
why?
In his backyard, walk into Miami, slap them out off him in front of all of his fans. I have no problem playing the heel. I have no problem going out there and being the bad guy for a weekend, because at the end of the day, when I put him unconscious, I'm going to have a smile on my face.
Okay, so I feel like Dublin, I even feel like March is possible. I feel like that one is far-fetched, if only because his next fight is probably December or January. I think it might be December. I think it might be that December 16th card, by the way, against Leon.
And we started a little bit of beef early.
You know he's not turning around. He's not turning around 3 months later. I mean, the guy fights once every 2 years.
That is true. That is true. Look, you asked me what my dream opponent would be. It would be Colby Covington. That would be the dream opponent in Ireland, to go in there and absolutely starch him. It'd be unbelievable.
Does he beat Leon?
No. But I've obviously never trained with Colby. I've only seen his fights. And the biggest thing that Colby has ever done, and I said this before and I'll say it again, he's lost to Kamaru Usman twice. That's the biggest thing Colby Covington's ever done. Leon's gone out there and knocked out and dominated a fight against Usman. I also think that Usman is a tougher matchup when it comes to Leon and Colby. I think Leon is so well-rounded, so talented on the feet, so talented. His grappling and his wrestling is so clean. I've had the pleasure of training with him, and I will have the pleasure of training with him very, very soon again. He's so good everywhere, Errol. He's so good. And I just don't see where Colby beats him.
By the way, will you be training with him in Florida?
Leon?
Oh, who are you talking about saying you'll have the pleasure of
no, I'm talking about Leon. I'm going to be training with Leon against him. I'm going to go back to Birmingham. No, but the only time I ever want to see Colby Covington is when I walk into that octagon and I watch him circle the thing and I'm like, yes, here we go. Let me do something I've been dreaming of for a couple of years. Slap him out of that mouthy little fool. Oh, the guy was going to get dropped. The guy was going to get dropped by the UFC because he wasn't interested. And he brings out this heel character, and it is a fake character. We all know it. And you know what? Fair play to him. He went out and he made himself interested, and he made himself a star. But trust me, I will crack that man so many times, and I will hurt him, and I will dominate him in ways that we've not seen.
By the way, I understand what you're saying about, like, Usman beaten twice, Leon beats Usman, but we just saw on Saturday, right? Strickland beats Izzy. Strickland loses to Pereira. Strickland loses to Cannonier. Cannonier loses to... It doesn't always work out that way, right?
No, the MMA match never works out. It never works out all the time. But it's just like when we see Colby Covington's style, Colby Covington doesn't hit hard with the hand. We've never seen him blast someone with a knockout. No, it's output. It's consistency. Ba, 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 ba. It's rat-a-tat-tat. And then a takedown. And then another takedown. And then pressure. And then takedown. Usman has that one-punch power. He has that weird, methodical approach where you've got to respect it. He does that feint for the legs that you have to give respect to, because if you don't, he's going to grab a hold of you. And he will take you down and he will stick to you. I feel like Leon's kicks, Leon's movement, and his jab is going to shut Colby down. It's going to shut him down, and it's just going to make it an awkward night for Colby. And I think Colby's wrestling is very chain wrestling based. And the way he fights the hands it shuts down chain wrestling. And I think Leon will just separate, go back to his feet, and just bash Colby for the whole 25 minutes if he needs to.
How did the link up with Conor McGregor come about?
A DM. I sent him a DM, and all the magic happened off that. And you know what? It was one of the most surreal experiences of my life. Like, anyone who says, like,
you say you DM, you say, like, you want to go spar, or do you just want to meet? Like, how do you go from DM to sparring?
I'm not going to sit here and talk about all the things you talk about privately, but I said we should link up, and he ended up saying, I'll see you at the gym. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. Let's have some fun. And that was how it came about. And honestly, it was one of the most surreal experiences, because obviously being a fan and being emotionally invested in everything that man did, and then getting to have the ability to stand, train with the guy, talk to the guy, go have dinner with the guy afterwards, and do it like in a way where it's like, honestly, Eric, we met up 3 times, and I feel like he's my best mate now. I've never met someone so like me in my life. Honestly, it's nuts. The biggest takeaway from meeting Conor is the fact that I have a friendship now that I believe is very powerful and very special, and someone who I can look up to and learn from. Someone who's done it all in the sport, someone who's had all the highs, all the lows, all the biggest things in the sport, all have his names attached to it. And he's the one who's changed the game more than anybody. So to be able to have that friendship, and it's so powerful and it's so special, and I'm so grateful.
Will you train with him for your next fight?
Ariel, if I joked about it with the team, if I trained with Conor leading up to my next fight, the amount of shit that I would say at a press conference, because the energy that me and him had, the buzz that we had together, honestly, it was like we've been friends for 20 years. It was just instant fucking friendship, instant connection, a good laugh. And he's just the most genuine, real person I've seen in a long time, who, like, he just says it as it is, does what he wants, and doesn't give a fuck. And that's exactly how I am. And I love it. And he's doing everything in the sport, and he's still maintained that attitude. And I love it. And I would love to train with him for this camp. I would love to have that energy leading up to a fight, because it's fun, it's a passion, it's an excitement. And it was a conversation that we had. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, if you're not enjoying the training every single day, if you're not excited to get up out of bed and look forward to the challenges that life is throwing at you, then why the fuck are you doing this? Go do something else, because there's a lot of other things we can do in life. But that man, the energy that he brings to me, the energy that I bring to him, the fun that we can have leading up to a fight, in a heartbeat, I would travel the world to spend a week with that man leading up to a fight.
Was that like the most amount of time? I know, like the famous picture at the what's the name of the shoot stop? The show. Yeah. I know that. Yeah. I know you guys were like met backstage, but like, was that the most amount of time you spent together?
Ariel, I met him for 5 minutes in a shoot shop. I talked about getting a photo. I chatted about his new tattoo, and I chatted to him about how I'd love to get into MMA one day. That was a 5-minute conversation 9 years ago.
Right.
I got to sit down and have dinner with the guy. I got to spar the guy. I got to train with the guy. We met up twice. We met up one day, we did boxing sparring that he shared photos of. We then met up the next day, did MMA sparring. I was there the day he got his black belt. Do you know what I mean? I got to meet up with the guy on 3 separate occasions and sit down and have a meal with the guy afterwards. Honestly, it was just such an amazing experience, such an amazing energy. And I love the guy 10 times more than I already did, because of his energy and everything that he brings. And he's a smart man. We had dinner on the Black Forge. We went and had dinner on the Black Forge.
Did you have the steak on the stone? Did you have the steak on the stone?
I'm vegan. I'm plant-based.
Okay.
I had the leek and potato soup. That was delicious. But my strength and conditioning coach did, and Conor had it in front of me, and it looked good. They enjoyed it, and that's what matters. But I tell you what, that's a buzz, that place. The Black Forge was a buzz, and to be able to be there with the man himself and the whole family. Like, we brought little baby Leo. Baby Leo fell asleep on the beanbag. We all chatted about like business, about fucking pleasure, work, everything. We talked about so much. And it was just an amazing experience, and I'm very, very grateful to be able to be in that position.
By the way, have you always been a vegan?
So I made the move to be plant-based a year fully.
Oh, wow.
And I made that move towards being plant-based about 2 years ago. I didn't want to do it straight away and put my body through a lot of stuff. So yeah, for the last 2 years, I've been focusing on being plant-based. And the reason, health, immune system, to give my body the absolute best chance of being the best competitor that I possibly can be, to give my body the best chance of dealing with stress during weight cuts, to dealing with everything that the fight game brings. And I have proven in the last 3 fights that it's working. And I'm excited to become a champion, plant-based. I'm excited to become a double champ, like you said at the start of the show, plant-based. I'm excited for it. And it's a move that I'm very, very blessed to have the knowledge about, because the thing is, it's growing up, I didn't know the knowledge behind being plant-based, being vegan. I didn't have this I didn't have this understanding. I grew up on chicken and chips, and I grew up on steak and potatoes. That was it. A pizza in the oven. Now I've had the ability to travel the world and understand different countries, different cultures, different foods, taste, and understand the way the world works. And my palate has definitely changed. My understanding for what food can do for your body and how it can help you reach an elite level is massively underrated in the world. So I'm excited to go on my own journey and prove to the world just how powerful plant-based is.
Before I let you go, I'm just curious. It's been like a mixed bag as far as Irish MMA is concerned, because on the one hand, there's an influx of new talent, right? But on the other hand, there's only one person winning, and unfortunately, once again this weekend, Kiefer Crosby lost in his debut, and the weekend before we had 2 losses, and a lot of these are tough matchups. Some of them are short notice, but in the end, they're not producing wins. What is your take on the current state of Irish MMA, and in particular in the UFC?
I said this a while ago, and I'll say it again. As long as Irish MMA has made, Irish MMA is booming. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing in the world. There was only one Conor. And look what he did. Look at the fucking chaos that he caused. It only takes one person to fuel the energy behind a whole nation, to get that excitement. We don't need 12. We don't need 20. We just need one. And Ariel, you said it yourself. I think it was, do you want to repeat it yourself? Ian Garry is the
future?
Irish Dream.
Oh, the Irish Dream. Yes, oh, right. That's right. Yes, yes.
I'm the Irish Dream. That's all that matters. As long as I'm representing Ireland, as long as I step into that octagon, we've got someone flying the tricolour. And we've got someone doing it for Irish MMA, and that's what matters most. I am carrying that flag, and I am doing the heavy lifting. All I need and all I ask of the guys that are coming behind me is just go out there and enjoy the process. I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll get them back to Dublin. I'll break into the top 10. I'll become a world champion. Just put on a show and have fun and do what you're doing, because this is a very special life that we get to live. So I'll do everything. I'll do it all. I'll take it all on my back, and I will carry it all the way to the end.
But do you need a couple of them to win as well in order to produce that Dublin card?
No, we don't need anyone once we have me, Ariel, and I mean that. If you put me and Colby Covington as a main event in Dublin, Ireland, you'd sell it out on that fight alone. You don't need any other co-main prelims, early prelims. You don't need anything else. That would sell it out alone. Having other Irish guys to be able to go in there and show the skill set of Irish MMA, great, cool, that's a benefit. But at the end of the day, we only need one person flying the flag for it to work. Okay. And we've seen that in the history. I look at Conor. That's all that matters.
By the way, we need an Ian Garry and Evan Ferguson link up. Do you know Evan Ferguson?
I don't know. Who's Evan Ferguson?
Evan Ferguson is an incredible footballer. He is 18 years old. He just had a hat trick 2 weekends ago. He plays for Brighton. He is the next big thing. They're saying he's the $100 million man. He is unbelievable.
I do know who you're talking about. Yeah, I do. I know him. I don't know him enough, but I've seen him.
He is the next great Irish footballer, and he's 18. I believe one of the youngest in Premier League history to have a hat trick in one game, obviously. And so I feel like you guys are the next great Irish athletes. Young Irish athletes.
Anybody who's having success in any sport, I would always find interest in meeting up and talking about mindset, about everything, because it's so important. And football, of all things, like to the Americans that are watching, soccer is huge to an extent that people do not understand. It is the biggest and most popular sport in the world, and it is just the amount of publicity and attention that comes with that. As an 18-year-old, getting a hat-trick in the Premier League, my God, I wish that kid nothing but best. But I do know who you're talking about. Yes, I've not watched him enough, but I wish him all the success in the world.
Dare I say a hat-trick in the Premier League, sort of like a 30-24 against someone like Neil Magny.
No, African in the Premier League is the
Okay,
triple-weight world champion. We'll get to that when I put some ties on. Let me get 1, let me get 2, and then I'll talk about 3. And I've said I'll do 3. Well, I've been saying to my team, I'll be the first person to go in there and do 3. I don't need to weigh 205. I just need to weigh about 190, 195. Wow. And I can do that with ease. Give me a couple of years, let me build up the muscle, let me get ready. And I'll go in there, and I'm promising you now, mark it now with Ariel as history. The first time I said it on camera to anyone, triple-weight world champion.
Jesus. All right, we'll see. Next up.
That was a very Irish Jason.
Yeah, you like that. That's right. That's from my guy, PT Carroll. He taught me all the lingo. Much love to you, Ian. Well done. Congrats on the win last month. Looking forward to seeing you hopefully in December against Wonderboy. And then, of course, first quarter of next year in Dublin. Appreciate the time as always, my friend.
Thank you so much as always. And as always, you are the best at this.
Cheers. Thank you for that, Ian. There he is, Ian Machado Garry, coming off that incredible win over one Neil Magny. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.